Okay, guys, if you recall, when last we left Sophie, she had just gotten a letter from Agnes at Redwood Farm, and it was telling her about the new chicken. That the new chicken is a barred rock, which we kind of figured out from that picture last time. And then at the end, she says she would write to some friends to see if they could take the chickens because regular chickens are easier. And then she enclosed this next lesson in the care and feeding of chickens. So here we go. This is lesson 2, sanitary and secure housing. Shelter. At night, chickens' metabolism slows down until they are virtually incapable of reacting to predators. They must have a secure place to roost where they will not be attacked. I didn't know that it's their metabolism that makes them so vulnerable at night. So it's like being sound asleep, and they couldn't possibly react. A hen house is used for sleeping and laying eggs, must be predator proof, no openings larger than a ½ inch, must have a secure latch, should be made from sustainable materials, untreated wood, metal hardware, cloth, etc. Roosts. Chickens' roosts should be sturdy enough to support full-grown hens. Each roost should be approximately 3 inches in diameter. Placed over straw, wood shavings, or newspaper. Cleaned frequently. Oh, here's a roost, if you're wondering what that was. It's just kind of a little place for them to perch. It should be sited away from food and water and not over other roosts, and long enough to accommodate the entire flock. Oh, so they should all be able to get up there. Straw or newspaper underneath. Nest boxes. It is not necessary to have a nest box for each hen in the flock, as hens typically lay at different times. Supply 1 nest box per 4 laying hens. Consider an extra if allowing a hen to raise chicks from fertile eggs. Boxes should be dark and quiet, be secure on 3 sides and roofed, be lined with straw, wood shavings, etc. Provide easy access for daily egg collection. Oh, so that's kind of looks like a box without one side. That makes sense. Worksheet number 2. Name, Sophie Brown. Calculate the linear feet of roost space needed for your flock. I have 2 or 3 chickens. Each standard size adult will need approximately 12 inches of roost space. Therefore, my chickens will need approximately 2 or 3 feet of linear feet of roost space. And then you can multiply that. Calculate the number of nest boxes. I have 2 or 3 laying hens. Each will serve 4. 2 or 3 divided by 4 means you only need 1. Please submit your completed worksheet to your instructor in the envelope provided. June 21st, 2014. Agnes, Redwood Farm Supply, Gravenstein, California, 95472. No! Don't you dare send someone to take my chickens. You told me not to give them to anyone. Well, I won't. I don't care if they're harder than regular chickens, and I don't care that I don't already know everything about how to take care of them. You sold them to Great Uncle Jim, and now I've inherited them. You can't take them back, so don't even think about it. Sincerely, Sophie. P.S. Her name is Chameleon now. P.P.S. Great Uncle Jim's hen house works just fine for his chickens. P.P.P.S. I'm ready for lesson 3. June 22nd, 2014. Mariposa Garcia Gonzalez, Land of the Dead. Querida abuelita, I wish I'd ask you about your chickens while you were alive. What kind did you have when you were a girl, before you came to this country? Did you name them or just eat them? I know you had to be practical and use what you had. But if you're still around keeping an eye on me, would you please keep an eye on my chickens too? They aren't very good at keeping quiet yet. 3 days ago, Chameleon laid her first egg. I hid it in the fridge like Agnes said to. So this morning for breakfast, I scrambled it, and Mom, Dad, and I each had 2 bites. Mom said it was the best egg she'd ever tasted, and Dad said maybe chickens were pretty useful after all. I had to pretend that Henrietta laid the egg since they don't know about Chameleon yet. And I really don't think they're ready to try and understand chickens that lay glass eggs. Then we all talked about our favorite egg recipes. And Dad told me about something Great Uncle Jim used to make called popovers. They're like a really tall muffin that isn't sweet and it falls over. He said we could make them sometime if we can find the pan. But your migas is what we all loved best. I wish I could read your recipe, but since I can't, I'm going to look for one at the library. It will be the best surprise ever when I make it for my parents. After breakfast, when I went to check and make sure Henrietta and Camellia hadn't dumped their water jars over yet, I saw that black streaked chicken again. I've been worried about it. Agnes says it likes tomatoes, but it's not like we can afford to waste tomatoes on a chicken my parents don't know exists and wouldn't necessarily want to catch anyway. I wish Great Uncle Jim had a garden with tomatoes. Dad was talking about weeding the old vegetable patch the other day, but he didn't get around to it. He doesn't seem to know very much about farms, even though I got him some library books on how to grow things. He spends most of his time walking around the grapes, shaking his head. By the time we get tomatoes, it'll probably be Christmas. So I used what I had, just like you always taught me. I got sunflower seeds from Great Uncle Jim's can, and I put them on the ground in a trail leading up to the old dog crate. I thought maybe I could catch it and keep it in there until it got used to me. You'd be proud of me. I did a good job of cleaning the crate after Chameleon pooped in it. It was gross. But I told myself there's no shame in hard work, just like you would have said, and that all that work has to get done by somebody. For a minute, I couldn't remember what your voice sounded like when you said those things, and I was really sad. But now I remember. The problem was that Henrietta and Chameleon immediately started eating the seeds themselves. I explained that they were for the black streaked chicken, but they just ignored me. So I had to get more seeds and keep filling in the holes where they ate through the trail. Chameleon vanishes every time Henrietta glares at her. She's getting pretty used to me, though, and the seeds kept disappearing wherever she'd been, so I knew she hadn't really left. Anyway, all this ruined my plan to put out the seeds and hide in the bushes and wait. Finally, I just put a whole bunch of seeds out and I went and sat in the shade and read my new book. It's pretty good so far. I'm going to read it myself before I read it to the chickens, just in case it might scare them. I was an exciting part, and I don't notice everything around me when I'm reading a good book. So I didn't see the black streak arrive. All I know is that when I looked up at the end of the chapter, I did look up at the end of the chapter, and 3 chickens were eating sunflower seeds right in front of me. The black streak was a chicken, all right, but it was the weirdest looking chicken I've ever seen. It wasn't much bigger than Henrietta, but it was black with a little red comb, and its legs and feet were covered in feathers all the way down to the ground, like big stompy boots. All its feathers were weird, too. They twisted in every direction, like they'd been blown around in the wind. I didn't have long to examine it, though. As soon as it saw me look up, it took off running. There was no point in chasing it, no matter how worried I was about the hawk chickens and people who know a lot about chickens trying to catch it. It's way faster than I am. So I started reading again. The second time I saw it run out of the woods, screech to a halt, and start eating just like the Roadrunner in the cartoons. I tried to pretend it wasn't there. It had a drink of water. Then it had some more sunflower seeds. Then it got too close to Henrietta and she glared at it. It floated a few inches off the ground, its feathery boots moving fast, just out of reach of the sunflower seeds. I wished I could tell Henrietta to put it in the crate, but she's not exactly a trained super chicken. Henrietta went back to eating her seeds, and as she stopped glaring at it, the black streaked chicken floated gently down. It looked at her for a minute, then moved off a bit and started eating seeds again. I hope it's still there when I check on them after dinner. I can't exactly keep it from running off, but maybe it will remember that this is its home. At least I got to see what it looks like. Te quiero, Sofisita. Ooh, this is what it looks like. A bantam black frizzle coaching. Look at that thing. Yeah, that is a different, I don't think I've ever seen one of those. Have you? Diminutive height, so it's short. Black plumage with distinctive windblown look. Feathered legs and feet. Small wings and tail. Small red single comb, red earlobes. Small light brown eggs. Infrequent layer. Friendly and inquisitive when hand raised. Looks like she's calling the mailman. Let's see. June 23rd, 2014. Mr. James Brown, wherever you are now. Dear Great Uncle Jim, I guess it's a good thing I like unusual chickens because they keep turning up. It's really too bad you're dead because I have an awful lot of questions for you. You already know Henrietta came to live with me, and a chameleon chicken turned up too. And I think the black streaked chicken has decided to stay. I might as well name her Roadrunner since I already think of her that way. Except, I haven't told my parents about the new ones yet. Well, when I came inside this afternoon, Dad was studying your antique phone. The weird black one on the wall, like he was about to take it apart. Maybe he got that from you. Things don't always go back together in quite the same way when Dad's worked on them for a while. So normally I'd be a little nervous, but I don't have any friends here to call. So I guess he can go for it if he wants to. Sophie, Gregory at the post office called for you. He handed me a slip of paper. My stomach felt funny. I like Gregory, but why would he call me when he'll be delivering the mail tomorrow anyway? I meet him at the mailbox every day since I can see him driving up from the barn window. Usually good news can wait and bad news can't. I looked at the number for a long time. Then I looked at the really old phone on the wall. Dad, how do you dial this thing? Dad told me to put the cone on the string part up to my ear and just talk really loudly at the cone part stuck into the phone on the wall. He got me a stool so my mouth would be at the right height. I stuck my fingers in the holes and moved the dial around. Gregory picked up right away. Hello, is this Gregory? I asked. This is Sophie Brown. Hello, Sophie, Gregory said. I think I found another one of Jim Brown's chickens while I was doing my deliveries, but it needs to be picked up today. Can you go get it? Or do you want me to ask and see if someone else can take it? I bit my lip. It was nice of Gregory to try and help us out. I've told him before that my parents aren't into farm animals. But if this really was one of your special chickens, Agnes would expect me to make sure it was safely with the rest. Probably whoever Gregory could find to take it wouldn't have special chickens. And I bet regular chickens weren't going to like living with this one if it was anything like Henrietta. unless it was Ms. Gregson he was thinking of. Can you hang on for just a minute while I ask my dad? I wasn't quite sure what part of the phone to cover, but I did my best. I thought really fast. I didn't want to lie, but I didn't want Dad to say no either. Dad, more of Great Uncle Jim's chickens showed up. Gregory says we need to pick them up today. If we can't afford to take responsibility for them, he'll try to find someone else who can. I figured I might as well get the other two cleared up at the same time. Dad looked pretty mad. I know he hates it when people think we might need special help. I felt bad about making him mad on purpose, but really, these chickens need to be safe. He stomped over to the doorway to Mom's study and yanked the door open. Mom's writing music blasted out into the hall. My stomach settled down just a little bit, and I started thinking again. Mom hates Charity even more than Dad does. So I thought maybe things would be okay. People always think Mom and I are poor. They even did when we had some money, just because we're brown. Mom's used to it, but it still makes her mad. Even more so now that we really are poor. I don't think Dad will ever get used to it. I picked up the pencil from the hall table and uncovered the phone. Thanks for waiting, Gregory. Where should we pick the chicken up? There was a long pause. And then Gregory said, Sophie, do you know anything about how to keep these kinds of chickens? He hadn't told me what breed of chicken it was, but I knew exactly what he meant. So Gregory knew about Great Uncle Jim's unusual chickens. But Agnes said I couldn't tell anyone, and that included Gregory. I wasn't going to mess things up now. I took a deep breath. Yes, I said. Maybe I didn't know all about chicken diseases and Epsom salts and all of that, but Agnes was teaching me about special chickens. And as far as I could tell, I knew as much about them as anyone else around, except maybe Mrs. Gregson. But you know what Agnes thinks about that. It's my responsibility to protect your chickens. Yes, I do, I said. There was another long pause. So long, I thought maybe the phone had stopped working. I wasn't sure what I'd do if I didn't pass Gregory's test. Why had he called me if he didn't think I could take care of this new chicken? And then Gregory sighed. Just be careful, okay? I wrote down directions while Mom and Dad argued some more. By the time they came out to tell me I'd have to take care of the new chickens too, I already had all the information. So I dutifully told Gregory my parents had agreed, and he hung up so he could call and let the people who'd found the chicken know I'd be coming for her. Dad looked at his watch and sighed. I'm already late to meet Bob about that replacement tractor key. Sophie, it's just going to have to wait till I get back. No problem, Dad, I said, and gave him a hug as Mom walked back into her study and turned the music back up. I gave it 10 minutes. Long enough for Mom to be wrapped up in her work again, and then I knocked on her door and asked if I could walk over and pick up the chickens by myself since it was only a mile away. Sure, whatever, just give me another 15 minutes, Mom said, not looking up. So I decided I better go get that chicken before Dad comes back, and Mom remembers what she agreed to. Don't worry, I'll leave a note reminding them where I went. Only, I'm nervous. What if Mrs. Gregson shows up there too? What if these people don't think I look responsible enough? I guess this is just another part of keeping chickens. Love, Sophie. Ooh, what? Uh-oh. June 23rd, 2014. Mariposa Garcia Gonzalez, Land of the Dead. Querida abuelita, I guess I never really was afraid of a chicken before. I mean, I didn't want to get pecked, and Henrietta made me a little nervous a few times when she looked at me too long. But I'm bigger than she is, and I think I'd be hard for her to lift. But this newest chicken? Well, I think it's better if you don't tell mom or dad about her superpowers until I find out more. I sort of thought it was just going to be another chicken with regular superpowers when Gregory called. I was happy that this chicken would be back with the rest of her flock. I didn't want her to be lonely. I thought I'd just walk over there with the dog crate in the old red wagon and bring her back, and everything would be as normal as it ever is around here. When I got to the farm, a white dog came rushing out the gate and barked and barked. But I hollered I was here for the chicken and didn't open the gate, and finally a skinny blonde lady came out. She looked at me for a long time, and I got more and more nervous. You know, I'm pretty shy around people I don't know. It's like all my words get clogged up in my throat, even when it's important, and I know I have to say something. Gregory said you were coming, she said finally. She grabbed the dog's collar, opened the gate, and told me to go around to the back of the barn. Then she dragged the dog inside. I was feeling a little shaky, the way you do when you're not sure if someone's mad at you or why'd they be mad when you haven't even met them before. But things weren't going to get any better standing around in her yard, so I dragged that rattling old wagon to the back of the barn. There was a boy sitting there, about my age. He was staring at the chicken coop across the yard, leaning his chin against his knees. He looked scared and sad. Then he saw me and scowled, and I stopped feeling sorry for him, even if his mom didn't seem very nice. I've never been the new kid before, but I figured it wasn't going to get any easier without practice. I'm Sophie Brown, he said. I'm here to pick up Great Uncle Jim's chicken. Thanks for taking care of her. He didn't move. He just kept scowling. Gregory called to say I should come get her, I said. I didn't scowl back, even though I wanted to. You know she's weird, he said very quietly. I know she's unusual, I snapped, and then I was horrified by what I said. But he didn't ask any questions, just nodded, got up, and led me around to the back of the coop. There were 2 small pens there, and each of them had a big bloody pieces of burlap inside. The burlap didn't cover all the blood and mess either. Abuelita, I know a farm is a cycle of life and death, and I know where meat comes from. I know that bad things happen to animals sometimes. But it was really horrible, with bits of bloody meat and bone and feathers all over. I looked at it, and then I grabbed the kid's arm and started yelling at him, "Why did you kill her? What did she ever do to you?" His face got all crumpled, and he looked like he was going to cry. A raccoon got Rocky this morning. It took a few seconds for the words to start to make sense. I dropped his arm. Who named her Rocky? Rocky's a rooster, not a hen. I raised him from a chick. He looked down at the blood in one of the pens. The raccoon's over there. He pointed inside. I looked closer. There was a stone raccoon inside the chicken pen with a messy chicken leg in its paws. I stared at it. Who would want to carve such a horrible thing? My mom heard the noise and came running. Rocky was already dead. The raccoon was like that. And Belfie's chicks were all staring up at it. So Mom grabbed the shovel and, I'm sorry. He looked away. I felt little goosebumps run all over my skin. What about the hen? Buff Orpington, good layer, a little shy, 1 extra comb at the bottom, but still show-worthy. I was going to show her this year. She's the only hen I have. We call her Buffy, he said automatically. Then his face got unhappy. She wasn't in with her chicks. Mom found her dust bathing under the blueberries. She never did anything like whatever they did. But Mom shut her in a crate and told Gregory she has to go. Well, I could understand why if her chicks did that, but she was my responsibility now. I squared my shoulders. Okay, can I borrow the crate? You can have mine until I can bring it back. The kid looked at me then, like he was kind of impressed. Sure. He led me over to a dog crate that was covered with more burlap. At least this wasn't bloody. I grabbed my crate out of the wagon and put it down, and the kid put the burlap covered crate in the wagon. The chicken inside squawked, so I guess she was all right. Does she have water and food? I asked. The boy shrugged. Mom wouldn't let me open it, he said. Well, she has to have water at least, I said stubbornly. I know chickens can die fast without water. Give it to me and I'll do it. So he gave me an old yogurt container full of water. I opened the crate door without lifting the burlap, stuck the water inside, and shut the door as fast as I could. The boy watched all this in silence. Then he looked at me and said, I'm Chris. See you around sometime. He went off inside before I thought of anything else to say. I know you would never approve of messing with someone else's property, but Abuelita, that raccoon statue was so horrible. And it was pretty clear the boy wanted nothing to do it. And also, maybe this is selfish of me, but I didn't want people to come after this new chicken with pitchforks like they did with Frankenstein. I'm pretty sure it wasn't her fault. Whatever happened, I pushed the statue into their pond. I'm sure they could get it out again if they really wanted it, but it was heavy and horrible, and I can't think why they'd want to. Don't worry, I wore my gloves, and I don't think I messed up the ground too bad pushing it. It was really heavy. That chicken sure was noisy. I don't think she liked the wagon, but we made it home. I put her crate in the barn and stuck some food inside, but I latched her door closed again. I don't know what to do. I don't want her to turn the other chickens to stone, or me, or my parents. But I can't leave her in there forever. I hope that Agnes writes back soon. Te quiero, Sofisita. P.S. I wish I'd told that boy I was sorry about his rooster and his chicks. I feel bad about that. P.P.S. How did Gregory know the chicken was Great Uncle Jim's? Why am I not supposed to tell anyone, if everyone here already knows about them? Does Gregory know that Chris knows too? And that's where we're going to stop. I'm really curious now. I'm a little befuddled by this. Yeah, the chicks are staring up at it. So is everything turned to stone? Were the chicks turned to stone? I am really curious about what's going on here. We'll see the next time we return to Unusual Chickens for the Exceptional Poultry Farmer. Until then, bye.